everybody? Welcome to the MonsterCast. I'm your host, the Straight Edge Monster Jack, joined by co-host Ryan over here. And I've had to combat his black shirt this week with my Daniel Bryan white shirt. Ariel, welcome in to the show.
Flounder, you're the best. It looks just like
close.
him.
Look,
It
I got
has
6 of the
his
same shirt,
eyes.
but this ain't one of them. This one's a better material.
Yeah,
Or
well,
mowing the yard in, yeah.
it's whatever, guy.
It looks the same on camera, I know.
Mine is stretched out, so I'll be pulling on the back of it a lot because it is an extra large and I barely ever wear it. Jake Madness, hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. I have no idea what that is. Let me get this Twitch chat alert thing off. My bad. We'll go ahead and select that and go ahead and put that up on the screen. There we go. All right. Well, hello to you. 24 hours. What all am I going to do? So yes, I guess we can start that off. I can let you guys know. I am going to be doing a 24-hour Twitch stream on August 26th. Actually, Jake, I think you're in my Discord. Details are in the Discord. I have my own server for it. But the plan is 24 hours. I did one last year. Ryan actually came in for most of it. He was in there for a lot of it, actually. It was fucking nuts. We got 98 subs last year. And so what happened last year was it was basically a bunch of shit on the spin wheel for, you know, me to torture myself. So I had to do a bunch of exercising that I didn't want to do with a dog on top of me. I had to do hot sauce on top of some warheads and a like mouth full of fucking peanut butter. By the way, I still haven't had any peanut butter since last year, just so you know. That shit is just thinking about it fucking is gross as fuck.
I'm rough.
Some other things. What else did I do? The Bean Boozled, I think I would had on there.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of shit. I had a bunch of things. Of course, obviously the viewer could win stuff too, like some of my merch or stickers, or I had to gift subs, you know, certain things, whatever it landed on. But this year we're going to actually do something a little different, where I'm actually going to use the platform for something good, besides you watching me try to fight back tears on stream and play video games. So what we're going to do is it's going to be a bunch of free-to-play games, so anybody's welcome to come in for the 24 hours. I got a list of the games that I put into the Discord. We're playing Rocket League. We're playing Paladins. We're playing Knockout City. We're playing Dauntless. We're playing Multiverses. It's like 8 games. It's 8 games. I'm playing them all 3 hours a piece. All right. And what we're going to do is I do have sub goals to get to 100. That would be, if we get to 100, that'll be 2 more than last year. Fall Guys, yes, Ariel. Fall Guys is on the list as well.
Realm Royale.
Realm Royale is on the list, yes. I like Realm Royale better than Fortnite, so I threw that on there instead. So yeah, so there's 8 games on there, and we do have sub goals, and they're listed in the Discord as well. And I don't think I have it available on this scene. I think it's in my other scene that I was recording the video for. But there's different sub goals that we're going to do if we reach those things. But the main thing is we're going to use the subs, and every time somebody subs, whether it's a gift sub, regular sub, prime sub, tier 1, 2, 3 subs, whatever, Subway sub, I don't really care. We're going to spin the wheel. All right, we're going to spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, we're going to help out some animals. There's a local humane society here in Gulfport, Mississippi, that has been taking in a shit ton of animals, and it's getting to the point where they're overcrowded and they're not actually accepting anymore. And then, of course, you still have asshole people that like leave their animals tied up to them so that they have no other choice but when they come in the morning to take them. So they have like a whole list of stuff that they need. And we've actually donated twice already, but we're going to make a huge donation all at once. So the spin wheel will be renamed the rescue wheel. I'll probably put like a picture of my dogs up there for like the thing to take over the Dwight Schrute sprite and stuff like that, and try to update it a little bit just to make it a little bit more different. And there'll be like 8 to 12 items on the spin wheel. Every time it lands on one, at the end of the 24-hour stream, I will go out. We will go purchase everything that is on the list that it landed on. So if it landed on a blanket 4 times, we'd go out and buy 4 blankets, stuff like that. And then we're going to take them all to the Humane Society here in Gulfport, Mississippi, and donate them all in one fell swoop. And it's going to be awesome. So, yeah, that's the plan for the 24-hour stream. I probably won't actually go out and donate the stuff till the following week because I'll probably be sleeping all day Saturday after the 24-hour stream. So it's not something I'm about to just run out and do, but I will have the list and everything ready to go. So that's what we're planning on doing here. And hopefully, crossing my fingers, because it almost happened last time we donated something. I almost came back with a 4th dog. So hopefully we don't do that because it almost happened. I'm not going to lie to you. There was this dog there named Daphne. She was nice as fuck. She's like the only one that actually came up to me. She was like the most calm one there. We went through almost all their kennels, taking random dogs outside and playing with them and stuff like that. Most of them wanted nothing to do with us. They were just out there to piss on everything. They wanted to piss on everything, dude, because you know how many dogs they have, and they take them out all the time. So everybody's just remarking their territories constantly. But we had one that was Daphne. She's so calm, and everybody likes her so much that they kept her in the middle of the whole fucking thing. And I'm sitting there like, how is this dog not been rescued or picked up or adopted or whatever? And this close, dude, this close from getting that dog. It was crazy. I'm like told Christina already. I was like, dude, if that dog is still there when I go back to donate all this stuff, I might not want to go in. I might just have her take everything in and I stay in the car because I can't stop myself. But yeah, so that's the updated stuff for the 24-hour stream. And then of course today, and I have to recoup somehow to get ready for the Sunday stream because we'll be doing a show. We're doing the podcast on Sunday too. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, Friday, I'm shooting for 8 p.m. If not 8:30 p.m. like I've been doing the last couple of times. I'm going to try to come home from work that day and go straight to sleep. Probably not going to work out that way, but that's what I'm going to try to do so I can make sure I get plenty of rest. So as soon as I get up, we can just hit live and do like we did last time. Now, last year, it was crazy special because if you remember, to tie it all back to the wrestling show here, if you remember, last year, I got off stream and CM Punk came back. That was the same night CM Punk came back on Rampage. So we went from 8:30 on Thursday to 8:30 on Friday, and Ryan and these other motherfuckers kept trying to sub at the end of my 24 hours, and I had to keep spinning the wheel, and it got to the point where it's like, I'm going to miss CM Punk fucking possibly coming back, because we still didn't know. Nobody actually knew for sure if he was going to come back or not. But that was the reports, and I wanted to watch this shit live, and they kept fucking subbing, so I had to keep spinning the wheel and keep doing all the things, and it got to the point where it was like, man, I'll do the rest of these wheel spins on the next stream. I don't have time. We're over 24 hours, and I need to see CM Punk come back. So I don't think we're going to have any issues this year with at the end of the 24-hour stream as far as that goes. I'll probably be able to stay and keep spinning the wheel for you guys. But let's get into the show. By the way, this drink is fucking nasty, and at least in my opinion, and I will not be getting another one. This is the raspberry lime Starbucks Bea Energy. Not a fan, bro. Not a fan.
This one is very good, actually, and highly recommend drinking an entire fucking carton of it. 900 calories, but it's fine. It's bulking season, boys. All right.
It's whatever. All right, let's get into the hot tag topics of the week. Here we go. Number 1, OG3 on SD. Let's go. Triple H continues to bring in old familiar faces from the NXT Black and Gold era. Now, this is obviously not as a big as a hit as Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Obviously, we can all agree on that, right? Like, okay. I mean, because Swerve is the one that made the group, okay?
Right.
And we all know Swerve is in AEW as a half of the tag team champions.
Being wasted, if you hear on Twitter.
Depending on who you're talking to, being wasted as a AEW tag team champion in the deepest tag team division in all time wrestling. With like a close second probably being like the early 90s WWF. That's like the only thing I can think of. And then not even then, because if you think about it, not all of them even like got the world titles. So by the time AEW's division is all said and done, you've had the Young Bucks as champions twice. You've had FTR as champions. You have Lucha Bros as champion. You got Swerve and Keith Lee as current champions. You had Jurassic Express as champions. The only ones that I believe we can safely say, don't forget SCU as well. The ones that we can safely say that probably will not be tag team champions that should have been is Proud and Powerful, correct?
I'm gonna say Hobbs and Starks too, but
Yes,
yeah,
you did not like the turn, correct?
I did not. But yeah,
So you
Proud and
didn't like the
Powerful.
turn. That's well documented. And I could have taken it or left it, but I'm actually happy that they're moving forward with Starks. So it's whatever. I think part of the reason that they're moving forward with Starks is because they already put the FTW title on Hook to move him forward, and they already got the trios things coming in now as well. So they might need more singles competitors in the other 2-3 divisions now with the All Atlantic title as well. So I think that's part of the reason why they went ahead and decided to split them right now. But yeah, that is something we had talked about, because we were talking about how Hobbs and Starks winning it before Lee and Swerve would have made more sense, because then Lee and Swerve could have taken the titles off of them after a shorter reign, and then Hobbs could have been the one to turn on them. You know, something like Starks and Hobbs win it, but Hobbs is the one that got the pinfall. Starks is the one that took the loss when they lose the titles to Swerve and Lee. So then it looks like Hobbs has a legit complaint. Like, I'm the one that, 1, got the pin, 2, you fucking got pinned. Yeah, that would have made more sense. But it's whatever. I mean, can't go back in the past now. So, but yeah. So, but Proud and Powerful is right there for you too, right?
Yeah, this is a.
I think there was more of a timing thing.
Real interesting conversation about SmackDown and Hit Row coming back. Yeah, a little off topic there.
Yeah,
going into
well,
AEW tag division.
I'm just saying, Swerve is the main.
Swerve's fine.
I'm going to call him OG3. That's what a lot of people were referencing them as. So even though they're still labeled as Hit Row when WWE's making their posts and stuff, OG3 is what they are also going by. So, I mean, that's more accurate, honestly. You're not Hit Row without Swerve, who is also a rapper. And it was like the whole point of the entire gimmick, besides, obviously, AJ France's Top Dollar, whatever. They're the 2 rappers, whatever. Sweet face you just made there on stream. Now, okay, so...
somebody said something on Twitter that made me laugh because it was true. It was like, bringing them back without Swerve is like having the Jackson 5 without Michael. Like, you don't... It just doesn't... It's not the same. It doesn't really hit that good. And BFAB being back is pretty cool. I could do without everything else.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They're so low on tag teams that I don't mind them bringing this team back, okay? But yeah, I agree. You don't call them Hit Row. It's almost as dumb as on Raw, where you got Judgment Day using the same name and the same music as Edge 2 weeks after they kicked Edge out of the group, and he's the one that put it together 2 weeks prior to that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. It's small gripes here and there. But the problem with WWE is you have a lot of those small gripes, and then when you put them all together, it's like, this show it just could be so much better. But we all know that the way that Vince left it and Triple H picking up the pieces, it's not going to change overnight, but you can slowly start to see some changes. So now that Karrion Kross is back, and you were right about that, and now that Hit Row is back, or OG3 is back, who do you think is next? There's reports about Bray Wyatt. There's reports about Gargano. Who do you think Triple H brings back next?
I know he likes Gargano, so that's up there.
Big Cass is out there as well.
A lot of talk about Bray Wyatt the last couple of weeks. I mean, what do you do with Gargano? I know Triple H likes him and everything.
Well, I don't
think about the current landscape right now.
He doesn't just have SmackDown to worry about. He's bringing all these new people to SmackDown. You still got Raw out there that needs help too, buddy. You can bring Gargano to Raw and have him go right back with DIY, dude, anytime. Because the Miz thing doesn't make any sense with Ciampa.
His favorite person from NXT, I would assume, is Ciampa, probably, right? And he's got him losing to Lashley in U.S. title matches, being stuck with the Miz. If he does bring him back, I don't think he's gonna do much in singles. You could have DIY if you want to really build up your tag division.
I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be on the male side either. He's brought back Dakota Kai and he re-signed Io Sky. So you also have that. But I will say this. You also have Tegan Nox, who he's a huge fan of on the outside as well. Like, he is a huge fan. Triple H, Tegan Nox is Triple H's girl. Brought her back not once, but twice after like ACL, MCL tears or whatever, that she was gone for a long time, and brought her back. She got called up, and then shortly after that, she got released because under the Vince thing. So for budget cuts that we now know why they were considered budget cuts and what those budget cuts were going towards. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if it was on the female side too, whether it be on Raw. See, we've had this thing because of the last 2 or 3 weeks on SmackDown where everybody's coming up on SmackDown. We're automatically assuming, hey, who would be a good fit on SmackDown? But you still got Raw sitting over there. I think Tegan Nox would fit well on Raw right now.
I mean, there is always the Sasha Naomi question too, so them too.
Yeah, the Sasha Naomi thing, man, is pretty largely looming over everything right now. I think
after that tag title tournament finishes, they come back and they're like, yeah, those aren't your fucking belts, and then they do a whole program with that. So
I could see that happening big time. So, and that's if they want to get put right back in that situation, or if Triple H is like, do you guys still want to do that, or do you trust me to make the women's tag titles a big thing again, or at all, really? Because it really wasn't since probably Iconics won them, and then even then there was a bunch of shit backstage about and with the fans because of how Sasha and Bayley barely defended them after getting them and then dropping them to the Iconics, that everybody was like, oh, they're not going to take these titles seriously. So even though the Iconics were a valid team to take them off of them, there was like no build-up with it really that mattered. So like you could already kind of see that they just did this just to shut certain people up type deal.
I know Peyton Royce is pregnant now.
Yes, congratulations to her and Sean Spears. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she's definitely not coming back. But also, Billie Kay did just cut a promo for Up, Up, Down, Down for their Battle of the Brand shit. So she's definitely at least talking to WWE in some capacity to have done that.
How do you think Triple H views Fandango and Tyler Breeze? Because like we just said, they need tag team help, bro.
I've heard Breeze might be coming back too. So yeah, they could do that too.
I can't watch 5 iterations of the fucking Viking Raiders being the exact same gimmick. We got to have somebody new in there, dude. Got to have something new.
They bring them back next time. They're like, oh, it's just pirates now. New vicious pirates after that. Yeah, they're
Paul Burchill, baby.
Yeah,
I love Paul Burchill as the pirate though. It wasn't like he was randomly just a pirate. They actually said he came from pirate descendants or whatever. He was a descendant of pirates, so it actually kind of made sense. Whereas they didn't just throw him out there in 1991 and say, hey, this is a fucking pirate we randomly found on the street.
Sure. Okay.
I liked it. I liked the gimmick.
Okay. You like the Mountie?
Come on, man. Don't be that guy. It was
like
good. It was a good gimmick.
You like the Mountie too?
I think the Mountie did the best he could with what he was given, and
no, it's fine because he was.
I thought it was hilarious. Yes,
it's fine. He was Canadian, so he's a Mountie.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great.
Okay.
But it was a classic thing with Vince where like if it's not an American, he's a heel. He's literally the Canadian big boss man, but he turned him heel just because he wasn't American. It was fucking weird. That's just like Vince's thing, dude. It was odd. Make WWF America again. That's what he was all about.
You know what is interesting? Somebody did some digging on the last round of payments that they dug up, and it's the exact same amount of money that he donated to the Trump Foundation.
Yeah. I read the report on that. The $5 million, right? Yeah.
Pretty fucking weird. It was like the same time frame, same amount.
The other thing is, oh shit, I just lost it. What else was I gonna say? I did just see a picture. Speaking of legends, I just saw a picture where Ted DiBiase took a picture with the little kid that he kicked the basketball from. Did you see that? That's so cool.
That kid's tall as fuck now too. Jesus, because DiBiase's not a small guy either. He was like
correct, and I thought it was hilarious that the dude was wearing a suit too in the picture.
Yeah,
that was fucking great, dude. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, DiBiase's like 6'3", and that dude was standing beside him, like, and was considerably taller. It seemed like. Yeah, I mean, he's probably shrunk a little bit in his old age, and 6'3" was a build height, but still, he's not a small dude.
We got to talk about the other thing that happened on SmackDown that a lot of people were talking about, the Gunther versus Nakamura match.
Yeah.
A lot of people were praising that.
Yeah. It's good to see Gunther making that title feel important again. It was... They're teasing the Kaiser Gunther split too, which is weird.
I'm hoping that Triple H puts a stop to that. Honestly, I think that's dumb.
I don't. Yeah, because he's gonna
get on the main roster for what, 3 months?
Yeah,
come on, man.
He's definitely gonna get lost in
Or
the
it
shuffle
doesn't
if they
feel
do
like
that.
it. I mean, that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like he's been up there very long at all. But the other thing is Gunther, like you were talking about, making the title feel important. I think that's more about Gunther than it is about what they're doing with him. Like, he just has a presence when he's a fucking champion. He just looks good with the title, first of all. He needs to always have a fucking title because he just makes the title look important every time he comes out. But the way his style is in the ring, he's not the heel that runs out all the time, the cowardly heel. He's not the guy that cheats all the time. He's just a fucking beast. So anytime he has a title, no matter how many times he defends it, he's going to make the title look better than the previous heel champion had it.
Yeah. The stare down that they had at the end too is like, I don't know if they're trying to set up like a longer term arc between Nakamura and Gunther or what, because he was still there was like a stare down at the end that was a little bit
I
different
mean,
than
I'm
how they
cool with it
normally
if
do
they
at
do
the
it,
end.
if they run it back at Clash at the Castle, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that too. But there wasn't like it's not like he lost. Not I mean there's that one thing where um Kaiser like it wasn't like a distraction so much, but it's not like he grabbed his leg or did it. It wasn't like not clean, so it's kind of weird to be setting up a program or a rematch when he pretty much lost clean. So I don't know how they're doing that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's SmackDown for you. We're going to talk about Raw in a little bit, but first we got to talk about some cool shit. Let's talk about some AEW Dynapage. We're going to cover Dynamite and Rampage at the same time. So, of course, this was Quake by the Lake for Dynamite and Rampage. Okay, so let's start with obviously the big match, the world title match between Moxley and Jericho. He wanted Lionheart. He got Lionheart. How did you think that went down? Do you think that was Jericho's last hurrah as far as world title picture?
Um, I haven't thought about that. So that's an interesting question. I don't know. Definitely as long as Mox has it for sure. That was pretty definitive, and there's no way to really build much back up from there. Given, I mean, he did win clean. Yeah, probably at least for the foreseeable future. At least as long as Mox has it, he might come back and do something else with like a later champion. Like if maybe when Omega has it or something, they might do something. But yeah, for the foreseeable future, for sure.
Okay, so obviously the big news coming out of it was after the match. And I don't know if you read the article or not, but apparently it was kept very tight lid on it. Nobody knew he was coming back. Very few people knew he was coming back. There was a blocked off stage or area in the back stage area where nobody could go back there, no access. And that's where Punk was. They were hiding him. So they said that like the Blackpool Combat Club minus Moxley didn't even know Punk was there.
Yeah.
So Cesaro, Regal, or Cesaro, my bad. Claudio, Regal, Yuta, Kingston. None of them knew that Punk was there.
So I think they knew somebody was coming out, but they didn't know who. Because if you watch the wide angle shot,
they're all just outside the ring. Yeah. I got what you're saying.
They are, except Kingston starts to slide in, and then the music hits, and then he slides back out. So he knew like somebody was coming. I don't think he knew who. And then as soon as or when really, I don't think he knew what the cue was either. But as soon as it happened, he realized and he got out. So
did you like the way the Moxley was like just telling him, "Hey, chill, I got this," because he knew he was gonna stand up and get behind it. He knew it was who it was. He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I got this myself. I got this." He like telling Claudio, "Nah, don't worry about it. Don't come in here." Yeah, I thought it was great. Punk looked good. He looked like he was still kind of limping a little bit, but it could have been because he was in jeans. I don't know. Like, you never know, like, because obviously he doesn't wrestle in jeans, so he was doing a bunch of movements in jeans. Maybe he was a little nervous, not wanting to re-injure the fucking foot that he just healed up. It hasn't been that long. We don't know the extent of the injury. He had just said at the C2E2 panel that he was still hurt to obviously throw everybody off, obviously.
Well, he was also wearing that huge-ass boot at the panels, too, so it was obviously bullshit.
Yeah, so...
But I wouldn't be surprised if he might have been moving a little weird because he still had like a brace on it or something, just in case.
Okay, so so Punk comes back, so it's setting up Moxley versus Punk at All Out to determine who the actual AEW champion is, with the interim champion versus the actual champion. Do you think they put a stipulation with this, or is it just gonna be a straight up match?
All right, listen, we're probably not gonna agree on this because you're gonna say Punk should win and they should continue whatever the fuck they were doing before. Punk should not win this match. Punk should absolutely not win this match. I don't give a shit if there's a stipulation. I don't give a shit if they try to do it so it's not clean, whatever. Moxley has carried this fucking company twice now when shit's gone bad. He carried it during the pandemic. Now he's carrying it when their champion gets injured. CM Punk coming back and just winning the belt and picking up where he left off is bullshit. Mox needs to win this match.
I mean, I don't. Okay, so here's the thing with that. One, I don't agree, but I won't be mad if Moxley wins either. I'll just say that. As long as something happens at the end where you can move Moxley forward and CM Punk forward in their own direction, so that if you were not going to give it back to Punk, Punk can circle a little bit and Moxley can drop it to somebody else, then Punk can come back and beat a heel. So if you have like a Kingston come out and quote unquote help Moxley without Moxley knowing, and that's why Punk loses, and then Moxley gets pissed off at Kingston or whatever, or you can move on to Punk versus whoever helps Moxley, etc. Whatever happens, like I don't care if you run it back with Kingston and Punk either. Like either way, I don't really care. They don't do enough rematches for me to be like, oh God, this again. You know, like the last time he fought Eddie Kingston was months ago, like 5-6 months ago, dude. So as long as they got something where they can branch them off so that I don't see them fight again, like on a random Dynamite 5 weeks from now for the title again, I'm cool with it, because I'm a big proponent of heel versus face world title matches. I think the fans get into it more, whether it be in their favor or not in their favor. I think they're going to be into this one anyway, just because people miss Punk already. He was gone. Like you heard the reaction when Punk came out. It was fucking nuts, dude. But everybody also knows that Moxley's probably going to be #1 on the PWI 500 this year as well. So you've got the guy that's carried your company 2 different times, like you said, and probably going to be #1 in the world. And then you got Punk, who is, like Tony Khan saying, is making them a shit ton of money. So Khan is in a weird place if you think about it.
He's going to make them a shit ton of money whether or not he's the champion. That's the thing. Because he hasn't been champion. He didn't have any title defenses. He's still making them a shit ton of money before that. He still will after. He's going to sell out whatever pay-per-view he's fighting for the belt on. And then after that, whatever storyline they set up afterward, he's going to sell that shit out too. He doesn't need to be champion. I get that he wants to be. That's why he came back, whatever. Right now, with the way that things panned out, buddy, your fault for jumping the fucking guardrail trying to be a cool guy. Like, you lost your spot. Mox has got it now. Mox needs to keep it for a while. I think it makes the company look bad if you do these interim titles and you have the guy just come back and pick up where you left off after an injury. It's almost like too. At that point, it seems like too. Linear is not the right word, but yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I agree with that, and that's why I wanted Tanahashi to win in the fucking first place. Because then you wouldn't have booked yourself into this corner right here where now you got your top fucking guy that's literally about to be ranked #1. I think it's pretty safe to say that he's going to be ranked #1. Now you got CM Punk on the other side. You lose either way if you're Tony Khan to me, because Punk didn't get any defenses with the title like you said. This is going to be more of a Finn Balor situation when he was Universal Champion and had to fucking drop it and never tasted it again. And now Punk can't use that in his resume going forward, which is the whole reason he came back in the first place. You can't really say that you were a former AEW World Champion when you held it for fucking less than a day,
less than a week.
Well, less than a week, but technically less than a day because he got the injury the fucking next week.
Yeah, true. Well, no,
next Wednesday, whatever, Sunday to Wednesday.
Wait. No, he won the belt at a pay-per-view on a weekend. He wrestled the next Wednesday, and he gave it up the next Wednesday, right?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he gave it up. Well, yeah, he might have gave it up the next Wednesday. You might be right.
So he had it more than a week. I mean, it's still not a lot. Here's why they couldn't do Tanahashi, and I explained this to you at the time. The way that the G1 laid out, they were not going to have their world champion go wrestle in the G1 and lose multiple matches in the G1. It wouldn't have made any sense for Tanahashi to win.
But that's easily explainable. You just have Tanahashi pull out of the G1.
I don't think.
As I have to go defend this title in AEW, I have to pull out of the G1 this year. Tanahashi's been in a million G1s. No one cares if he pulls out of the G1, dude.
New Japan fans would. Tanahashi's very fucking popular.
Because you're trying to build a relationship with AEW.
Gato is not going to take away one of his main draws.
You could have easily gave them another person with Archer to replace him.
Tanahashi has to sell 18 fucking shows for this one tournament. He's not going to take away one of his biggest draws. You could have had
Moxley go over instead of Tanahashi if Tanahashi beat Moxley, and Moxley could have been in the G1.
Could have done that, but not sure if he wanted to do it again. Also, if you look at Tanahashi's spot in this year's G1, he's already eliminated. And he only got 3 wins, so it's not like, you know, I don't think Moxley would have wanted to be in that position. Yeah, you couldn't have done it, not with the G1 falling the way that it was. Even if you said, okay, well, he's going to be undefeated throughout the whole G1 while he's AEW champion, and he's going to win the whole G1 as AEW champion, so it doesn't make the belt look bad or whatever the fuck, that's still a long time to have your belt away from your own product.
I think Tony Khan is in a weird position backstage because, like we both just already said, Moxley has been the Bayley/Drew McIntyre of your company. Right. Anytime somebody goes down or pandemic hits, that's been your go-to guy. Right. So you kind of want to reward him with a run in front of fans, right? But then you also have your fucking Roman Reigns on the other side that's making you all the money. That's your big star power. So, yeah, Roman Reigns doesn't need the belt either. Let's be real. He doesn't need the belt either, but he's still champion. He's still champ. I
think he kind of does. I think for his whole aura to work, he has to be at the top of the card. I mean, the top of the card. Moxley doesn't, actually.
What about if this is a long shot and I'm just throwing it randomly over there and seeing if it lands? But what if MJF is the reason that CM Punk loses to Moxley and makes his return?
So that would make sense in the sense that he wants to get his revenge on Punk for the dog collar match and for the Wardlow, blah, blah, blah. I don't like it because it makes it puts Mox in a weird position where he won based on some heel that he's got nothing to do with, blah, blah, blah.
But couldn't we finally get MJF with the world title that way? Moxley could come out and be like, hey, I didn't want to win it that way. MJF comes out and be like, I beat CM Punk twice in one night. You haven't beat CM Punk ever. And, like you couldn't have done it without me type shit. And then Moxley just shifts his focus because now he's pissed off at MJF type deal. And MJF gets his title match and finally gets a world title run.
I'd rather Kingston interfere. Because with Kingston interfering, it not only sets up Punk versus Kingston, it also sets up
Moxley Claudio versus Kingston.
That too, right. So down that line. Yeah. There's a few different ways you could do it. I don't think Punk should be champion again. Not yet. I don't have a problem with him being champion.
Do you think it's weird that Kingston keeps coming out with the BCC even though he's not with BCC just because of his relationship with just literally Moxley? He hates everyone else but Moxley. And yet that's who he ran out with to help out after the match with I mean, I know he hates Jericho Appreciation Society, obviously, but it's just weird to me that he was just, I mean, Ortiz wasn't out there. You know what I'm saying? Like Ruby didn't come out there. Ortiz came out there?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing Ortiz out there.
It's because he's bald now. In fact, commentary got it mixed up when Kingston was trying to pull someone out of the ring. I don't even remember now. He thought he was trying to save Ortiz by pulling him out under the ropes, but he wasn't. He was grabbing somebody in JS, but I don't remember who it was now.
I think it was Garcia.
Yeah, Ortiz was out there. Yeah, it was probably Garcia because he's also got pretty much the same hair. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with that exactly. I do think that it would be a mistake to have Punk just come back and immediately win. I think it sucks. Bad booking. I think if you have to do it, you have to have some kind of interference or bullshit, but they don't really do that much on pay-per-views. And this is absolutely a pay-per-view match. So, because it's coming up, what, September, we've said this like 10 times, September
4th.
4th, yeah, so it's not that far. Fuck, yeah. Could do an MJF thing, I guess. I just don't...
All right, we got to move on. Let's talk about Blake Christian. Blake Christian from GCW last night. Of course, the news is that a couple months ago, him and Cora Jade broke up. And now they're already doing a fucking Cora Jade, Braun Breaker storyline apparently on NXT 2.0, which is dumb because Cora Jade's heel and Braun Breaker's not. That's the last time I checked anyway. But anyway, so Blake Christian had an interview during GCW last night. Now there's conflicting reports of why people just randomly started booing this man who's always been cheered in GCW and has been hailed as like the next top guy ever since he showed up on AEW Dark during the pandemic. And everybody was like, oh, sign this guy. But Triple H ended up signing him for NXT Black and Gold and or NXT UK, one of the two. He went over there instead, which is fine. He He went where he wanted to go. Didn't work out. Was one of the budget cut releases, obviously. Comes back,
guys. There you go.
wrestling with GCW, wrestling in, he did the Ring of Honor Super Card of Honor show.
Mm-hmm.
Or Death Before Dishonor show. He had like a 6-man tag match. Can't remember which one, but it was one of those. Fans are behind him, still in GCW. But then last night, they just started booing this man because one of two reasons. Either one, it's because the reports are now saying that he signed with Ring of Honor AEW, where he's either under a tiered contract and he's going back to Ring of Honor to be on their roster, or they're just mad because he keeps mentioning the Cora Jade thing, and I'm sitting there like, either way, he should not be getting booed for either one of these. And this is the thing that Ryan wanted to talk about on the show when I brought this up, because we started talking about it a little bit before the show. And that's how GCW views themselves in the world of professional wrestling. I mentioned that I'm under the impression that GCW fans think they are the new ECW fans. So that if one of their favorites gets signed to AEW or WWE, it's you sold out chance and now we boo you. And because, no, you can't have our guys type deal. And I'm saying that they're delusional for thinking that they are anywhere close to ECW, the ECW fan base. So where do you want to run with that situation? You can start with the Blake Christian by itself if you want.
Yeah, the Blake Christian thing's weird. The promo that he was trying to cut at the end, it seemed like he was trying to talk about his future going forward, whatever, with GCW, and that's when people started booing him. So maybe it was just about that. Maybe they were just like, kind of like you're talking about, like they don't want other places to get their guys or something. But it was just weird. Normally, if somebody does like a proper retirement on the indies, they have some spot where somebody comes out and lays them out to put over that guy as the other guy exits or whatever, and they didn't do that here, so maybe that was part of it. I don't fucking know, man.
But I think that's because he literally said he's not leaving completely. He's just not going to be around as much. So because you know how Tony Khan does, especially if he signed to Ring of Honor, he's still going to have to get his reps in other places. So it's going to be like a more of an open contract. Hey, I'll run this by TK. If he says I can do it, boom, I'm going to go do it. Fucking Moxley is in GCW for fuck's sake. So I don't know why people would be booing this guy for fucking saying that, hey, I'm just not going to be around as much. But Moxley is your goddamn champion. Like, you have no problem cheering that motherfucker. Champion. That makes no sense to me. That's completely backwards.
Yeah. And they actually had Moxley go over Blake Christian at one point, too. So, yeah, it was weird. And Tony Deppen, who Blake Christian was wrestling last night.
Do you think GCW views themselves as the ECW fan base? And if you do think that, do you think that's fucking delusional? Do you think that Blake Christian going from GCW to AEW, or even Ring of Honor, like we all know it's both, right? So he's going to show up on both. So AEW, let's just say he signed an AEW contract under Tony Khan from GCW. Is that not a bigger leap than someone going from ECW to WCW? I feel like ECW was bigger than GCW is, especially later on when people started doing you sold out shit like all the time.
Yeah, WCW is so fucking big. Bigger leap. Maybe. I don't know that matters as much to the fans though. I think. Do they see themselves?
I mean, that's clearly why they're upset, right? They're upset because their guy's going to Ring of Honor / AEW. So when did the GCW fans start hating AEW is what I want to know. That makes no sense.
Yeah, that's part of why I don't really get the fan reaction either. Like it does, you have crossover talent all the time. You all love Nick Gage so much, and Moxley's coming and beat the shit out of him, and they're about to have another match, which Gage will probably win since it's career versus title apparently. But yeah, I don't get the reaction. I don't know the ECW thing, the comparison. The fans might think that, but you notice the difference is. When ECW was around, WCW and WWF were all trying to poach talent from them. Nobody's really trying to pull anybody from GCW. So it's not like it's not the same in that sense. Like you don't have that underground mentality of like the big guys trying to take all our shit. You just get mad when people move on and move up, which is worse.
It's crazy to me because here's the timeline of this. Blake Christian is in AEW Dark. everyone on Twitter saying, "Hey, you need to sign this kid." We were two of them too. We said it on the audio podcast. Hey, this kid is good as fuck. Sign him. They don't sign him in time because they're going through a fucking pandemic. So he's not really looking to bring in any names unless they're huge names so they can get pops on TV, which it makes sense, obviously, because you have no fucking fans in the audience. So if you're trying to pull in ratings, you're going to go after the big names, the Brody Lees and the Matt Hardys and stuff like that he did sign during the pandemic. Okay, that's fine. Then NXT goes and picks him up. Oh, everybody's so happy for Blake Christian. Yeah, we're sad that you didn't get signed with AEW, but hey, man, you get to go do your own thing. You get to go to NXT. NXT's really good. They got a bunch of young talent. Triple H knows how to handle people there. It's going to be awesome. So he gets released from there for budget cuts. He goes back to the Indies where he's loved. But then the next time he goes to AEW Ring of Honor, where they finally get a chance to sign him, now it's, boo, you sold out, you suck. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What changed from the first time that you all wanted him to get signed to now where now we don't want anybody getting signed unless they're from fucking somewhere else. Like, don't take any of our people. Makes no sense. So you're going to boo Effie if Effie gets fucking signed to Ring of Honor next week?
Yeah, right. That's weird too. Yeah. So a lot of people are trying to say it was like somewhat related to the Cora Jade shit too. And I was just like, that doesn't even make sense. You're going to boo somebody because they broke up a few months ago with somebody in WWE? What? I didn't get that. So whoever was trying to put two and two together there.
Are you booing Aaron Solo when he comes out because he broke up with him and Bailey broke up? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Why are you booing someone for that? Or having any kind of feelings for that and mentioning it on any kind of promo? Like, let that man get through his shit the way he needs to get through it, first of all. Like, I don't understand that, dude. Like, that's so weird to me. Like, you've never been hurt before. Maybe no bitches. I don't know. Maybe that's why they can't relate. I don't fucking know what it is. But maybe people process that shit in their own way, and you need to let off this man who is now about to go make more money and still get to wrestle for you guys on occasion. Like, I don't understand the booing process, the thinking behind the booing. It makes no sense to me.
Maybe they were just booing the concept of heartbreak. They're like, oh, boo, you're sad, boo. Boo sadness. I don't fucking know, man. It was weird. I didn't like it. It made no fucking sense to me. I hope he does well wherever he goes. That fan reaction fucking sucked. And I'd be pretty upset if I was him at that crowd. I mean, I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but he went and sat on that one dude's lap who was chanting, "Shut the fuck up," and the dude kept chanting it while he was like sitting on his lap.
Yeah, it was very awkward. A very awkward situation.
It didn't seem, but that's the thing, right? Because when he did that, the fan didn't seem like he was like mean spirited about it. But then it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what's the goal of this attitude and chant here? It made no sense to me, man. I don't get it. But GCW fans, they're kind of, they kind of remind me of the NXT Full Sail crowd more than they remind me of an ECW crowd. Like they want so much to be part of the show and get themselves over as a crowd. And I don't like that shit. I think it's lame. But I get that vibe from them a lot. So
they're like a NXT Full Sail crowd with alcohol. So maybe the problem was he should have done that at the beginning of the show and not later on when the alcohol took full effect on all these idiots that were in the crowd. Just a quick shout out to.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Quick shout out to It's Juicebox 6. Y'all for subscribing 8 months in a row. I appreciate it. We are going to probably spin the. I don't want to spin the wheel right now, dude. Should we save it for the animal rescue wheel? I'm really not trying to eat a Bean Boozled up on this stream. I'm trying to talk up in this bitch.
What? How many days away is it?
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it to help out the animals on the 26th. So let me write that down though. Make sure. That's one sub right there. We'll put it towards the goal. How about that? We'll get a jump start on the goal. Juice box.
Box 6.
All right, we'll put that there. All right, cool. Because I'm not trying to not feel half of my fucking face while I'm trying to talk. So let's put it towards the animals, guys. All right, but yeah, appreciate the sub. Okay, so yeah, I guess we can move on from Blake Christian now. I'm pretty sure we got all out that we needed. I mean, it's just a weird scenario to be in, dude. Like, I want to like GCW, but shit like that is taking me out of it. Like, that's annoying as fuck. Like, I also didn't
trying to get themselves over in general. They just
this is weird because I came from the ECW audience, who huge ECW guy, unrelated to this topic, obviously, with Blake Christian, but I also didn't really like people throwing in goddamn glass bottles on Matt Cardona when he won the fucking title either.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I'm coming from a NWO era where people threw trash in all the time, but nobody was throwing glass fucking bottles,
Right.
dude.
It was like styrofoam. So I watched the clip of Lex Luger beating Hulk Hogan on that one random Nitro where he had to like fight off all the NWO and all that bullshit.
Yeah, in Detroit, yeah.
And they threw stuff in there too, but it wasn't like shit that would hurt anybody. It didn't look like. It was all like cups and stuff. Like it wasn't bullshit. I mean, you could still get hit in the eye, I guess, or whatever, but it wasn't
or
like
get
bottles.
liquid on you. Yeah, I mean, they threw shit all the time with the NWO segments, whether they won or lost, because there was people that really liked the NWO. So you were getting trash in the ring. If you had a clean finish, you got trash in the ring, and then if you got a fucking dusty finish with nothing happened, people throw trash in the ring because they're pissed off that they didn't get a real finish. Like, make up your mind, WCW fans. But anyway. I guess I could say that about GCW too. You're closer to WCW Nitro '98 fans than you are ECW fans. So
except there's like 1/20th as many
bit.
of you in a stadium, and people know like 3 people that work there, and one of them because he's the AEW champion. What do you think of the Effie match?
We talking the kiss heard around the world with him and Moxley?
I mean, there was multiple, but yeah. Sure. Okay, a little excited.
Who wasn't into that, bro?
Yeah.
Maybe Renee wasn't. I don't know. But
she did tweet about it. She said,
I'm sure she does. She tweets about everything he does. It's great.
Effie, what the hell? Also, can't get mad at Effie.
Looked like he liked it.
The last one was all John too. That was not Effie. It was a good strategy. I wish Regal was there on commentary to explain it. That's all.
Did they explain how it distracts his opponent to take advantage of the situation? Regal used to kiss many men back in Blackpool during the bare knuckle street fights.
Yeah, you just throw them off their game, throw them off the rhythm. It worked. So there you go. Okay, somebody said something about him. They're like, oh, Moxley bleeds in every match, blah blah blah, and he's like constantly bleeding every fucking match, and he gets so old, blah blah blah. I watched this one. He didn't bleed until like the headbutt at the end, and I don't think he bladed because people are saying that after a sling blade he rolled out and bladed or whatever. But if you watch the end of the match, when they're doing that kissing spot and the camera does this sounds real fucking weird. When they're doing the kissing spot and the camera does the 360 around him, you see both sides of his forehead. He's not bleeding at all, and then he does the headbutt spot, and that's when he busts open. So if he did blade on the ground, he didn't cut it very good, and it was still like together, and then the headbutt kind of smacked it or whatever. That's the only thing I can think of. But I don't think he bladed on the ground. And then I'm pretty sure the headbutt just opened up a cut that he already had, because it seems like he's got that one cut since that Tanahashi match that just opens up all the time. Like if anything touches his head. I mean, I've definitely seen him blading before too. When Promo Joe on YouTube does his videos, like they catch it on camera more than you think, because he puts it in the fucking compilation. So I'm like, God damn. They catch it on camera all the time. You would think the camera would stop looking at them when they're on the ground going like this, but you know. But no, I'm pretty sure he didn't blade in that one, and it wouldn't have made sense to.
Maybe Moxley is going to try to break Adam Page's record for bleeding the most times during his world title defenses.
Yeah, maybe. But Adam Page was also in like Texas death matches and shit. The other thing is, it wouldn't have made sense to blade when you've got 2 moves left in the match. Like there's even Moxley knows there's no impact on that. So I'm pretty sure that the headbutt just opened up a cut that he already had, and he wasn't going to bleed in that match. So.
How about the fucking blood from Jericho before he put him in the walls? Or the Lion Tamer, I should say. That was crazy, dude.
He busted his forehead legit on that turnbuckle. That's what it was. He posted a picture on it was either Instagram or Twitter or something after, but it was like a straight like gash in his forehead. It was legit. That was nasty too. So there's that ongoing debate right now though about the Walls of Jericho spot that they went to commercial in, and then he was still holding it after the commercial break.
I loved it.
I haven't watched the fight version of it. I only watched the TBS broadcast. So obviously you see a little bit of it in picture, and then when you come back, he still got it. And Meltzer was like, I don't like doing that. Like it makes the submission look bad if somebody's holding it on somebody for that long. But apparently the crowd went really hot for it. So like maybe I'm wrong or whatever. And then Jericho had replied saying, I'd love to debate you on it or whatever, but I'd
love to debate him on it too, because he wanted the Lionheart Chris Jericho. That's the whole fucking build up to this particular thing. Moxley wants Lionheart Chris Jericho. He puts him in a regular ass Boston Crab that they call the Walls of Jericho, which isn't really the Walls of Jericho either. But the Lion Tamer is the one where he puts him high up and puts the knee on the back of the head.
Yeah.
So because he wasn't doing the Lion Tamer, I don't have an issue with the way that he did this during the entire commercial break. And Moxley, your toughest fucking guy, by the way, who never gives up unless he passes out, didn't fucking tap during it. I don't think it hurt the actual Boston Crab move at all, because when he put him in the Lion Tamer later, it really made you think that Jericho actually had a legit chance to win the fucking match. So no, I disagree with Dave as well. I'm on Jericho's side on this one.
So for the record, I'm pretty sure it was the Lion Tamer.
No, it was a regular Boston Crab.
You might want to go rewatch it. His knee was definitely on his head. As they went to the break. So I'm like 90% sure on that. I can go look, but I'm pretty fucking sure. But yeah, so apparently the live crowd went really hot for it. So that's when that's why Dave was kind of like, oh, maybe I'm wrong or whatever. But I think that it probably did work really well for the live crowd, but I didn't like it on television. If I went and watched it on Fight without the commercials, it'd probably be a lot cooler. But to me, I'm kind of with Dave on that, where it kind of makes a submission look bad if somebody can hold you in it for that long, and you not only don't tap, but then also get up and do like I think the movie did after he got out, he went up on the top rope and did like a double axe handle or something, and he wasn't really on his back too much or anything like that. And that's more on Moxley, I guess, but I don't know.
Couldn't you make the argument that there's a reason he doesn't do the Lion Tamer? So let's say it was the Lion Tamer, right? Mm-hmm. There's a reason he doesn't use that as his finisher anymore, because it's not getting him the wins. That's why he went to the walls. That's why he went to the Judas effect. That's why he went to the code breaker, shit like that. So couldn't you make the argument that even if it was the Lion Tamer, that it makes more sense for Moxley not to tap out randomly being in the fucking hold for 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I guess. Has he won with that recent? What did he win with against
That
Judah?
was the first time anyone's kicked out of the Judas effect, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is pretty protected. And
that's only because he stumbled away and then didn't get right on top of him right away as well. Yeah, so they still kind of protected it. But yeah, that's the first time anybody kicked out of the Judas effect too.
The other argument too is, is Moxley. So him holding a submission on him for 3 minutes versus somebody else, it doesn't hurt it as bad.
Can I just say this? I like it because I'm not really a huge fan of the picture-in-picture to begin with. Okay?
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm really not. Like, I'd rather miss all the shit than try to look at this little ass screen.
Yeah.
Than try to look at this little screen and try to keep up with it, honestly. There's times where I'll fast forward it. I'll fast forward the picture-in-picture. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'll watch it the next morning. Because I work at night.
I might do the Fight TV shit and just get the Fight TV stream, because when I watch the replays of it online from not official places for nights that I miss it or whatever, the Fight replay is always way better. The only awkwardness is, of course, they have to cut the commercial for the TBS broadcast, but then they just keep talking like 2 seconds later. So that's always kind of weird to watch. Like, we'll be right back, and then, oh, he's got him in a Lion Tamer.
Yeah, but you have to do that for when you go to streaming services, obviously, and you look at the backlog. Now you don't miss any of it. So yeah, I mean, that's cool, because a lot of the old Raw episodes and stuff, you don't get that because they had breaks literally all the time, so you never technically miss anything. But then your matches aren't as long and stuff like that, with like the old Attitude Era stuff for Nitro and Raw. So I don't have a problem with them running matches over commercial breaks, but the picture-in-picture just is not doing it for me. Now, if you made it like half screen and half screen or something, I might watch it more often. It might not be as big of an impact. But the little screen, dude, because I know you're getting ad revenue. I'm not faulting you for getting money. I know that you're keeping picture-in-picture because you think it's keeping people there instead of switching over to whoever. But you don't have any competition as far as NXT anymore. You're not on the same night anymore. I don't really think you need the picture-in-picture anymore on Wednesday nights. So I don't know, man. Like, I've never been a huge fan of it. I was at first. I was like, oh, this is cool. They're going to keep with it. I don't have to switch over to NXT. I can just watch NXT later, so I don't have to accidentally miss something possibly important on the way back. So in that regard, at the beginning, I was okay with it. But now that they're on different nights, I don't need to switch back and forth anyway. It's not that big of a deal. And I have seen episodes where they, like on YouTube and stuff, where people illegally upload it, and I'll watch the part that you're talking about, where they have the commercial, or they don't have any commercials, and they don't have the PIC, or picture in picture, I should say, PIP. So they have the whole thing run through, and yeah, the commentary is funny or whatever that way too. But yeah, it's more enjoyable to watch that way. But like, if I didn't know any of that happened, I'd be just as okay because nothing happens during the breaks anyway. If that makes sense. Like I don't have that's why I like this one so much. So all the shit that you have that I don't want to watch, right? This one was more entertaining to me because he literally had him in the same move for the entire fucking thing. So one, you didn't really miss anything. And two, I think it's just funny as fuck because he had him in the same move the entire fucking break. And it made sense because, like, how is everybody breaking out of the fucking moves, out of a submission move after, 30 seconds to a minute? This motherfucker was in the move for 3 minutes, which means Jericho had the motherfucker locked in. Like, somebody finally put their move on correctly. Congratulations. Like, it's weird to me that people had that big of an issue with it to post about it. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like that's
it didn't bother
nitpicking,
me enough
honestly.
to comment on it. Yeah, I mean, I am now, obviously, but not at the time. It's not like something I would have gotten online tweeted about. Okay. The we didn't we talked so much about that one match. We didn't even talk about like the Brody King Darby Allin.
Yeah, the coffee match was fucking nuts. To start off the show like that was crazy. I don't know why I went to Raw Recap if we're still talking about AEW, but
because we've been talking about AEW for a long time. But
yeah,
there was
but
a lot
we
to
went
talk
to
about.
Blake Christian and now we're back to AEW somehow. But anyway, a fucking gnat flying around my damn camera. All right, so yeah, we can talk about that right quick. Go ahead. I mean, it was a crazy ass match.
Yeah, the coffin match thing was cool. The way that it ended was cool. The way they did the Sting Malachi Black face off was
Awkward.
interesting.
It was awkward to me.
Yeah,
I'm cool with seeing the match. I'd love to see Malachi versus Sting, but they've been setting up this for a few weeks now, and it's been awkward every time to me.
yeah. How do you
Having Malachi be the one to back down and look back and then like playing the almost cowardly heel role is weird to me. And then Sting going out and just chasing him after he's walked off. I'm like, what is happening right now, dude?
Well, when Sting gave the bat to him, and he
I
didn't
thought he was going to
use
do the
it.
Nitro thing, right? Where he hands him the bat and turns around.
Yeah.
I thought that's what, I swear to God, I thought that was going to happen. I was like, oh, this is going to be so badass. He's going to turn around and be like, hit me if you want to hit me. You want to take the coward's way out. Hit me with my back turned like he used to do to Macho Man and Luger and all them when he was turning into the Crow Sting.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're trying to plant like they corrupt Sting some shit storyline. I don't know how you started Sting Malachi Black storyline in the middle of all the Miro shit though.
I don't know. The Miro promo was fucking awesome, though.
They always are.
It was like a video game cutscene.
Yeah.
Because you had the villain come in literally right next to him.
Right.
No one got in a fight. No one fucking did anything. Like, he just straight up told her, hey, you go back and tell him I'm fucking coming for him, baby. I was like, what the fuck? This is so cool. Like, that was badass. That was
the lighting, the reveal of the lighting, like, turns from the darkness into the light, faces toward the light shining on the eye that is clearly not corrupted. It was very, like, cinematic. It was cool. I liked it.
But it doesn't shock me because he's really going to, as far as his personal character, he loves God of War, and you can kind of see that with his stuff. And he's obviously big into video games anyway. So you can really see that in his presentation and stuff ever since he started this comeback with these backstage promos and stuff. Yeah, it was really fucking good.
Yeah. I did. You know what I like though? The Tony Storm promo in the back where she was talking about like building up the match to Thunder Rosa, even though they're like friends or whatever. I thought that was good. They're doing some. They still, their women's division needs a little bit more, like
Depth?
Not depth, but like because they have people. The problem is like the storylines are not. They're like very spotty, kind of all over the place. There's not like a good.
Not depth as far as quantity. Depth as far as in layers of characters that you can literally put in situations is the best way I can describe it. So like, So like after Tony Storm, there's a huge drop off because Statlander just got hurt again.
Right.
So she's gonna be out for a long time again on her other knee. So she's gonna have to wear 2 braces like fucking Steve Austin next time she comes back.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, she's got another torn ACL and I think meniscus or something too. And also what it seems like they were gonna do at first was build um Athena versus Cargill, and then Cargill was gonna go over, but then it was gonna be Statlander, and then Statlander would win, and then maybe they would start having Jade chase the world. I don't know. But
The silver lining out of all this is that Tony Khan knows who he can go with now because it's going to be Athena,
yeah,
or
maybe.
at least I think it is. I think Athena's finally winning at All Out is going to beat Jade, which is fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Because if Cargill beats Athena, right? Let's say Cargill beats Athena, and I love Cargill. We both do. It's well documented. That's one thing that's very well documented on the show. We both love Jade Cargill. But the longer you go with it, the more you actually hurt your divisions. So
Right.
if you have Athena come in and beat Cargill, Cargill can reset, possibly go for the world title against Thunder Rosa, who she's beat before in the tournament for the TBS championship. If you didn't remember that, she beat Thunder Rosa to get to the final or whatever. So you have that set up right there. You also have other things they can do with Jade in the meantime, kind of like they did with Britt when she got hurt type deal. Like there's things that she could do off base, not necessarily being involved. Where like I don't know how long Red Velvet's gonna be out, or if they're gonna add another baddie in either. But she could literally take a backseat and plan her next attack for either getting the TBS title back from Athena or possibly going for the AEW Women's World Title. But you also have you've got Red Velvet and Chris Statlander out. I think Layla Hirsch is hurt. The Bunny is hurt. Penelope Ford, I believe, is hurt. So
Ford just came back.
Who?
Ford just came back.
Okay. And then so you got like a lot of hits to your women's roster who were the ones that were on TV getting built up and getting storyline stuff and big pushes. So that is another reason why we're having the issues with there being such a big drop off after Thunder Rosa. So you got Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, right? And then you got Toni Storm and Ruby Soho, and then there's like nothing because they're all hurt. And that's 3 faces and a heel, and then your other heel is fucking destroying everybody. So you're gonna have to do something to move that heel over to the AEW Women's Championship, and then maybe Athena can get into a storyline against maybe a Britt Baker or a Jamie Hayter or something like that over for the TBS title.
I feel like the biggest problem they have in their division right now is that the power ranking systems compared to the way that the belt contender shit is working right now is a little bit backwards. Because the contenders that you're throwing in for the world title stuff don't seem better than the contenders or the champion that you have in the TBS title picture. Like at all. There's not like a good hierarchy here. Because if you said you got Cargill, Statlander, who's obviously injured now, but Cargill, Statlander, and Athena versus fucking Rose, Storm, and Britt Baker. Because that's kind of your world
How
title
high is
picture.
Deeb up on that list too?
I mean, Deeb's up there too, but like,
But what I'm saying, like, maybe the talent from top to bottom for their contenders is a little bit better, but technically the matches that Rose is putting on against Jade Cargill is nowhere close. Rose is putting on better matches because she has better talent that can work with her. As far as like we've already said, Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb matches have been fucking lights out. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker has been lights out. You know, so like she's putting on better matches, so it makes sense that she has the higher title for right now. So I think it kind of evens out that way. Plus, AEW, even though we know that the world titles are the big titles, they like to say that the TNT and TBS titles are not a mid-card title. So,
well, there's a reason when they list them all. The TNT title's the last one. Like as far as singles titles go, it's always world, and now they actually put Mid Atlantic above it, and then TNT.
all Atlantic. Mid-Atlantic is NWA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I make the mistake too. It's
I
weird.
was just reading about Harley Race yesterday because somebody in one of my work meetings said something about a bike that they were building. Like, oh yeah, we call it the Harley Race, and I was like, because of the wrestler, and they had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. I was like, all right, never mind.
I like to call this right here the gorilla position right here. This is before I walk into the bedroom.
When it
This is
rains
the
real
gorilla
hard,
position.
I call the gorilla monsoon. What? Do you? After the wrestler? Who? Wrestler. Yeah, that's
All
what it
right,
felt
we got to
like.
move on to Raw. Let's move on to Raw. Here we go. Raw recap. So you had Ciampa not have a great night. And speaking of comebacks, we did have one comeback on Raw, and that was Dexter Lumis. A lot of people praised the way that he came out and the way that they did it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I'm gonna be real with you. Didn't really like it. The pop wasn't there because of the way that they shot it. I didn't feel the Dexter Lumis comeback, and also it was super weird that you decided to have him stare down AJ Styles out of all people. So I'm gonna need some more explanation on that going forward. But as far as Raw goes, Lashley beat Ciampa, right?
Yes.
And then of course,
it was a really good match though.
Yeah, no, it was a good match. You had we now got the Clash at the Castle match with Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai going against Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss, which is weird to me because now you know that Bianca's not defending her title, so that kind of sucks. For the Clash of the Castle audience, I mean. You had Ziggler and Chad Gable in a match, which, you know, should have been probably the best match of the night, but you know how Raw goes. Let's see. You had, I'm trying to remember. Oh, and they announced the tournament for the women's tag titles as well, which got everybody talking because of the teams that they announced for the women's tag titles. It makes sense, man.
So it is very interesting that they didn't pull up a certain NXT tag team to be in that, but okay.
The only NXT tag team.
Right.
Well, besides the new champs, obviously. The new champs have been together for a long time, so I'm not going to say they're not a tag team.
Yeah, but
also, I love me some fucking Kaden Carter, not going to lie.
I just definitely think that Toxic Attraction should have been in that. So what else happened? They had the Finn Balor Mysterio match. It seems like they wrote off the Kevin Owens Ezekiel shit. I don't know if Triple H is trying to repackage him back as Elias or what. They basically wrote him off TV with that, having the stretcher take him away and all that. So,
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I like Elias. I don't know if Triple H is going to bring that back or what. I mean, it wasn't an NXT thing originally, so Triple H might just be like, "Look, go take some time off, go grow your fucking beard back, practice your guitar, come back. We'll pretend this Ezekiel thing never happened after one promo, and you can come back, have one blow off match against Owens as Elias if you want to do that.
You got Bray Wyatt come back and tell Owens that it was all part of his dream. It was in his psyche. None of that actually happened. And like, just bring Elias back, dude. Oh shit, that shit would be so funny. Because like if you brought Bray Wyatt back as a face, that shit would be so funny. Just fucking with Owens. Oh, that would be hilarious, dude.
He spends weeks just trying to play clips on the fucking Titantron.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But then all of them are actually just Elias.
And then like Owens has to go see Dr. Shelby.
Okay. This is some shit that Vince would write, so we're not going to do that, I guess.
But it's more entertaining than the shit that Vince was doing up there, though, is my point.
Yeah, that is true. Something Wyatt might come up with. What else was there?
I gotta go back to the women's tag team tournament though. While you're thinking about other stuff that happened, because like
the Seth Rollins stuff, where it seems like they're still trying to break up Street Profits.
The tag teams that they put together, Aaliyah and fucking Raquel Gonzalez. What?
Yeah.
Nikita Lyons and fucking Zoe Stark. What?
Yeah.
Teams that have never teamed up before are just randomly thrown in the tag team tournament.
Did you feel like Zoe Stark probably should have beaten Mandy Rose the other night?
I thought it would have been awesome for the NXT crowd for sure. I wouldn't have been against it because they were pushing her so hard before she got hurt. So yeah, maybe, but
and I just feel like also the Mandy Rose is not.
I will say this: I don't have an issue with Mandy Rose in her current position. Okay, she has the backup to keep helping her win matches, right? She's playing the part perfectly. She's not terrible in the ring. I'm not gonna say she's fucking, she's not Io Shirai or anything like that. No one's ever gonna confuse her with that. But she's doing a solid job doing what she's doing, bro. Like, if you already put her in the position to be that, then I don't have a problem with her being there as long as she doesn't regress, okay? Like, when she loses the title, she's probably getting called back up to the main roster. And when she gets called back up to the main roster, you want to make sure that she doesn't fall completely flat on her fucking face, okay? So I have zero issue with her getting called back up and possibly being put back in a tag team with Sonya Deville. Would be great as well, since you want to reintroduce the tag titles, which I also don't know why Sonya Deville is in a fucking random tag team as well.
With Natalya, of all people. Yeah,
makes zero sense, dude. This is more like a fucking Survivor Series tournament.
Yeah, almost. Or just somebody hit random on a goddamn N64 game.
See if they can get along long enough to win titles together. That's fucking stupid, dude.
Yeah. Even the Alexa Bliss Asuka pairing is like, okay, whatever.
But Asuka was saying that she was looking for a partner, and of course that got everybody talking about fucking Kairi Sane, and everybody went nuts. And also some people were talking about Naomi possibly bringing that be the spot where they bring Naomi back, because they used to be a tag team together. So like either one of those would have worked better than Asuka or Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss is still holding on to this stupid fucking doll, and I don't understand it. Like, get away from it, dude. Just put her back as the fucking goddess or whatever.
She does that, but then she'll also do shit where she acts like it's dumb and not a real thing. And now it's time to get serious for a minute.
Like because it's selling too much fucking merch, dude, is why they keep that shit around. I'm telling you, the little kids are buying the Lily dolls. That's the only reason they haven't let go of this thing completely yet. I'm telling you, that's accurate. I promise you that's what it is.
It probably is. So fucking stupid.
All right, let's go to our last hot tag topic, dude. We got to talk about the G1 Climax 2022. It's almost over. We got one more night, and the updated standings.
One more night of the blocks.
To what?
One more night of the blocks, but then there's the
one more night of the block to determine who the two matches are going to be. The final four, I should say. All right, so as we were looking over this at length earlier before the show, you've got the only one that's really wrapped up we can agree on probably is Okada, right?
Yeah, Okada's probably going to beat Archer. So A block is everybody's eliminated except for Archer and Okada, and that's probably going to go to Okada. B block, you've got everybody's eliminated except for Tama Tonga and Jay White, and their last matches against each other. So whoever wins that block. C block's a little bit more interesting, but I still think it's just going to end up being Zack Sabre Jr. and Naito that end up like tied or whatever, and then one of them will win that match. So whoever wins that match ends up winning the block, basically. Goto's technically tied too and has a win over Naito, but Sabre has a win over. Like, it's like a weird, fucked up, convoluted thing where they could end up in a situation where you have three guys all tied in first in points. But the way that they do tiebreakers in that tournament is if you're tied with somebody else and you have a win over them, you win the block. But they're going to have three guys who are technically all tied with each other, and one has a win over one has a win over the other one, the other has a win over the other one. So they're probably going to book it to where they don't get themselves in that situation, which means Naito beating Zack, and then Naito having that win over Zack, both of them being tied for the top of the block, ends up winning the block. And then D block is just a total shit show because you got 5 different people that are all tied with 6 points, and the tiebreakers are all over the fucking place. So I don't know who's going to win that.
Explaining D block right now would be like on basketball when they were fucking trying to determine the tournament on basketball. If you've ever seen the movie Basketball, and if you haven't, you should. It's hilarious. But basketball, when they're going through, when Bob Costas and the other guy, when they're like going through the tournament brackets, or no, it might have been the ESPN guys. Well, whenever they got them, they got like a million fucking basketball teams, and they got this tournament, and to determine who's playing who or whatever, if they win or lose, that's pretty much D block right now. Like, it's going to take you that long to try to figure it out or have somebody explain it to you. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's just that so many people, because of that block being so split up everything wise, the way that it's going to pan out is going to be real fucking complicated because there's so many people that have tiebreakers over other people. So if those two both win their matches, then they end up over like the 3 people. Like, it's real fucking convoluted. But just looking at who's in it, as far as like potential winners of the actual block, you're probably going to have Shingo or Ospreay, and that's it. I doubt they're going to do a big David Finlay push or anything like that. He does have the wins over Ospreay and Shingo though, which is crazy. So if he wins his match too, then he wins the block no matter what.
I think they gave him those
Shingo
wins
and
more
whatever.
as a baby step to go forward in New Japan as a whole, more than go forward in the G1 Climax.
Yeah. So what it looks like is the semifinals are going to be Okada versus either Jay White or Tama Tonga. It's not as that sounds on paper like it's, of course Jay White's going to win that, whatever. But they've been doing the whole storyline since the Bullet Club split, where they're at each other's throats because Tama Tonga was like OG Bullet Club, and then Jay White came in after the fact, ended up leader after Omega left, all that bullshit. Pretty much broke it up, kicked Tama Tonga out. Tama Tonga's been a face ever since, been teaming with Tanahashi and stuff. But Jay White has not lost a match in the entire G1 this year, and they don't really do that. There's very rare that anybody has like an undefeated G1. So the fact that he hasn't lost one yet and is going up against somebody that he's got like this long-standing rivalry with, like interfaction warfare shit, it's very possible they give Tama Tonga the win, have them tie, and then because he's got the win over Jay White because of that one match, they have him win the block and then probably lose to Okada. But the reason for doing that too would also be because it's if you're not familiar with the G1, it's like a round robin tournament. So everybody in your block, you wrestle at one point throughout the tournament. It's like a tradition within the G1 where if you beat somebody that's currently got a title, you're basically guaranteed a title shot against them after the tournament's over at some point. So it would be an easy way to set up a world title match to do it like uh, not literally like a throwaway pay-per-view, because honestly, Tama Tonga's not going to win an IWGP championship. But it would be like a quick, short little feud for them to do where he's like, oh, I earned my title shot, I want my match, blah, blah, blah. And then, they build that up and have him go lose, and it gives Jay White something to do while he's building towards his next thing. The C block and the D block, a little bit more up in the air, obviously, because it could be Zack Sabre Jr. or Naito winning the C block going against either Shingo Takagi or Ospreay. The funny thing is that Juice Robinson technically only has 4 points, but he's not actually eliminated just because of the way that some of that shit can pan out. But it would be really unlikely. So.
And the reason why it would be a short feud with Tama first is because he beat him within the thing but didn't win the actual tournament. So Okada would get the Wrestle Kingdom match against whoever the champion was at the time, which is probably going to be Jay White.
Right, exactly. Or, yeah, and so the
if
other thing is...
If he wins the whole thing, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And if, let's say Jay White wins his block, he beats Tama, and it's him and Okada. If Okada were to win that, then Okada gets the shot already. But then let's say Okada loses the finals, he still technically gets a shot for beating Jay, but he doesn't get the guaranteed Wrestle Kingdom match for the title for winning G1, which is like the ultimate point of winning the G1. So there's a lot of different directions I can go in there. It does seem a little bit weird to me to have Jay White enter the finals at all, because you're kind of bearing the lead with the, like, let's say he makes it to the very finals of the thing and then somebody beats him. They don't win the title, but then they get a title match against him at Wrestle Kingdom. That's a little weird to me. I'm not sure I like that much, but, we'll see. We'll see how they book it. He's obviously going to be a bigger draw than having Tama Tonga on the 17th, right? So, just from a money's point of view, if they haven't sold out that show already, you kind of have to put Jay White at the winning that block to go to the finals. So.
All right, let's move over to media time. I got a good one for you because it's your two boys that were being discussed, of course. We've actually, kind of discussed it a few times here and there. But this one, I found this, and we got to discuss it. Okay, so it's between Ospreay and Kenny Omega, and I think you know where we're going with this. Of course, everybody's talking about it, but we're going to throw up the tweets. Here we go, media time. The original post was, Will Ospreay now has more matches rated 5 stars or more than Kenny Omega. And I think it's Will Ospreay 20 and Omega like 18 or something. I don't remember the rest of the tweet. But it's less than 20, obviously. But it's really close. Anyway, Jordan Patu quote tweeted it and said, I remember 0 of them. And he's talking about Will Ospreay's matches. So somebody replied to him and said, Ospreay versus Ibushi was good, but Omega versus Ibushi and DDT was much better and didn't get 5 stars. So then someone replied and said, nope. Ospreay is getting better and better.
In your opinion, nope.
Nope. And in fact, of course, if you say fact, it must be true. Fact is, he is younger than Kenny. I guess that is a fact. He is younger than Kenny. He achieved everything in New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Still 2, whatever that means, that Kenny did, but with less age. And he is competing in the best company. Kenny is on AEW, injuries and flippy flapping with the Bucks. So
what the fuck does he think Will Ospreay does?
I don't know. I mean, I almost feel like this is not. Let's get this out of the way. This is not Mark That Tweet. I just want your opinions more on the Ospreay versus Kenny Omega 5-star thing, and if you think Kenny Omega is still a better wrestler than Ospreay, even though he has less technical 5-star matches. But I mean, you can get to the Alejandro Casanas or whatever the hell, however you say that, his tweet as well. But yes, I agree with you. Ospreay flips around more than Kenny Omega. Especially since Omega's come into AEW and slowed down his flippy flappy, whatever the fuck this guy's saying. But yeah, take this away. You can hit both points, but start with the main thing, the whole reason I brought it up, the Ospreay versus Omega 5-star rating thing. And obviously, Omega has mentioned this in a not too distant fucking podcast, correct?
Yeah, he was doing, I think, Sean Ross Sapp, actually. And he was talking about, he was saying, he was doing his smarmy kind of like, you could tell he's being a dick, but he's trying not to sound like he's being a dick kind of thing, talking about Ospreay, and it was really funny because he kept telling Sean, he's like, I don't want to be mean, but Ospreay, I don't want to be mean, but yeah, it was it cracked me the fuck up. But basically was saying, yeah, like you're doing all this shit for these small shows, and sure you're getting like really high, like 5-star ratings, whatever, but at the end of the day, nobody remembers the matches because there's no good like story build to it or whatever. Now, here's the thing too. He's got more matches rated 5 stars or higher or whatever, like total. But Kenny has more matches that are higher than 5 stars.
Yeah, we take the overflow from the matches where he's 5 stars. He has a couple other 5-star matches.
Yes, exactly. So Kenny Omega has 10 matches that are over 5 stars, and Ospreay only has 7. So it's not, if you really want to get into quality, then you have to consider that too. That being said, it's Dave Meltzer's star system, man. It's not the end all be all. Omega and Ospreay both have had some matches that I thought should have probably been 5 stars that weren't 5 stars. Now the Ospreay Shingo Takagi match from the G1 just last week or a few days ago or whenever it was, that's the one that put him over. So, and it was a really good match, but I think I even said this, we weren't even talking about this before the show, but I even said when I was telling you about that match, I was like, yeah, it was like a really good match. Like by the way, 5 of Ospreay's fucking 5-star matches are with Shingo Takagi. So it's not like it's all one-sided, like Ospreay's carrying everybody, whatever the fuck. Shingo Takagi is also a very good wrestler. It's like if you put Omega and Okada in 10 matches, yeah, they're going to get 5 stars every time. So that doesn't necessarily speak as much to Will Ospreay as it does to some of the quality of opponents that he's had. Not saying he's at all a bad wrestler or anything like that, but I do agree with Omega's sentiment that he was trying to say not nicely, but nicely in the interview, which is you can have as many great matches as you want as far as like ring to ring, like bell to bell, in ring work, whatever. But if nobody really remembers the story behind them, or nobody remembers like what led up to it, or if it was just like kind of like a throwaway match for like a championship for some smaller promotion that like you can have a great fucking Rev Pro title match, right? But there's not really that many people that pay attention to the product. You probably got called in to just have like a big name on the card to sell the show. You probably did put on a really good match, but without any build to it, it just doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't mean as much. When you're talking about like a 6-star Okada Omega match, if you're familiar with them at all, you remember the build to that. You remember everything that went into it. You remember the whole fucking storyline. You remember what Omega was up to. You remember his rise through New Japan and how it led to that. You remember Okada dominating that goddamn entire division forever, untouchable. Like, he was like God Rainmaker mode for so long, nobody could touch him. And then you remember all that whole build. When you talk about like a Ospreay Shingo Takagi match, you remember it being a good match. That's it. You kind of remember that they both came up from the juniors. Not really a whole lot else going on there. So sure, on paper he's got more 5-star matches. Would I say that they were better matches because they were 5-star matches? No, I wouldn't, because I consider more than just the in-ring work, and Dave does too. He's talked about his system a little bit too, um, but I think he more heavily rates just the quality of the in-ring work on its own, separate from any story or anything like whatever. And New Japan style matches, I think, are more prone to getting more 5-star matches anyway. So if you had had Omega in the same environment wrestling the same people, as opposed to doing, and no offense to Christian or anything like that, but as opposed to doing matches like a couple matches back to back with Christian and getting like 4 or whatever fucking stars it was, as opposed to him like maybe going and wrestling a Shingo Takagi or a Naito or some of those people that he's had those really really good matches with, Kenny Omega would have just as many too. So you're not really saying anything by saying Ospreay in an environment with some of the best in the world is putting out some of the best matches in the world consistently, 5 matches over 5 stars with the same guy. Like it's it's kind of a weird metric to try and measure them both on or try to make any sort of comparison.
Can I ask a question? I want to know why it's always just Ospreay versus Omega. Is it because the outside rivalry that they have? Because why is no one mentioning Okada, who had 19 fucking 5-star or higher matches in fucking 2021 and probably has had a couple more since? So he should be up there as well. And he also had 5 against just one person. With he's got like 5 fucking 5-star matches or 6 5-star matches with just Tanahashi. He's got another 3 or 4 with just Omega. Like, why is no one discussing Okada in this conversation? Is it just because of Ospreay versus Omega's rivalry outside of the actual 5-star rating system?
Yeah, for the record, none of them are the top. The top is Masala, and then I think it's Kenta Kobashi and Okada, and then Kawada, and then Ospreay Omega, and then like I think Tanahashi and Ibushi, and I think Shingo Takagi, some other people. But yeah, they're not even number 1. They're not even number 3. So the reason for the comparison is the their status as Gaijin in New Japan. So they get a lot of direct comparisons because they had similar rises. They both started as juniors over in New Japan. Well, starting, when I say starting, I'm clearly not kind of like his Rev Pro shit or like his or Omega's like DDT stuff, anything like that. But starting in New Japan, they had pretty similar paths. They were both junior heavyweights, really popular junior heavyweight champions. They got some of the lower titles, whatever, worked their way up, put themselves into the heavyweight division by gaining some mass, like having more serious matches, working on their character a lot, and growing some. And they get compared one to one a lot because they have similar paths and similar expected statuses in New Japan. So the thing that Kenny Omega talked about a lot in that interview was the Kenny Omega versus Jay White slash Ospreay comparisons. Because when he left New Japan, everyone was like, okay, well, we got 2 more like major Gaijin players in the game here. Somebody's gonna have to fill that spot. And it ended up being Jay White. And it wasn't because Jay White was having 6-star matches. It wasn't because Jay White was going over to Rev Pro and fucking killing it. It's because Jay White told really good stories all the time. Jay White is always a compelling interview. Jay White always has great, like, after the match backstage promos. Jay White does amazing character work. So he can have a 4-star match or 4.5-star match and it be 10 times more memorable than Ospreay's 6-star match every time. And that's I think a lot of people were looking at Omega's really good matches and thinking that's the role that whoever fills that is going to have to fill, but it's not. Because Kenny Omega also had a lot of
Jay
story
White, a lot
and
of people don't
background.
understand that Jay White is the same age as Will Ospreay. They're both 29 years old, dude. Jay White has done a lot of stuff that Will Ospreay and Omega haven't done, because of the way that they put him in that role that you said. Because after Omega left or whatever and put White over, was able to tell the stories and have the promos and all that stuff. Like, Jay White should be in the conversation as well. Like you're saying, like, yeah, he's not dazzling you with flippy flapping in the ring, but he's still putting on really good matches. He has his own really good fucking matches that everybody points back to as well. And he's the same age as Ospreay, so there's no telling. Ospreay could go down with an injury tomorrow and be out for a year. And Jay White could have 4 or 5 fucking 5-star matches by the time Ospreay comes back. And why are we not talking about Jay White in that same capacity?
Yeah. Well, kind of because,
I mean, if
like
you're
I was
talking about,
about,
because they're being compared because they're both Gaijin, Jay White is Gaijin too. So he should also automatically be in this conversation because of the things that he's been able to accomplish that other wrestlers, not just in New Japan and not just Japanese wrestler, but definitely Gaijin, have not been able to do. He's done a ton of shit that neither Omega or Ospreay has done either on his list of accomplishments.
what specifically are you talking about? Because actually, I mean, if you compare their lists of accomplishments, Jay White actually hasn't done as much, like at all. You also have to consider the shit from Ring of Honor, Rev Pro, like Progress, some of the other places.
Are we really thinking that this guy right here, that he's not talking about just New Japan stuff?
No, if we're talking about just New Japan stuff, I mean they're not really that far off there either, honestly. If we're talking about like Ospreay versus Jay White, so
I mean, I'm not
Jay
talking
White,
about the devs guy who's mentioning the DDT match with Ibushi. He clearly knows more about what's going on than this fucking Alejandro guy, is my point. This Alejandro guy's literally only talking about New Japan stuff. We both know it, dude. He's not talking about fucking Ring of Honor and all this other shit.
yeah. So he's saying he's getting better. Fact is, he's younger than Kenny. Achieved everything in New Japan that Kenny did, but he hasn't. Competing in the best company, no. Kenny's on AEW, but then he brings up AEW, right? So what's is he really not making? So that's kind of where it gets confusing to me.
He's
like
saying
what
that
point
New
he's bringing
Japan
up.
is better than AEW overall
I got
still,
that.
which is,
Yeah.
I don't think that's accurate, because after the pandemic hit, New Japan took a huge hit. When Kenny left, they took a huge hit. When the Young Bucks left, they took a huge hit. Okay, and then they took forever to get their company back up and running. So I don't think that New Japan has fully recovered yet, in my opinion. So I don't agree that AEW is lower on the totem pole than New Japan right now. I also don't know how it's that big of a step down, considering the matches that Kenny Omega has put on in AEW while hurt. Okay, so the other thing I don't really get here is the flippy flapping thing with the Bucks, which he has not really done in AEW, but
Okay, so
Ospreay is still clearly doing it in New Japan.
that's the stupidest part of the tweet to me. You can make whatever comparisons you want between Omega and Ospreay. That's fine. I don't think it's as close as people pretend it is. I think Kenny has always had better matches. Meltzer can say whatever the fuck he wants on the star rating, and even I was telling you before the show started, you should go watch the Ospreay Shingo match if you haven't already. It was a really good match, but it's just a good match. It's not a good story. It's not a good like build. It's not a good fallout. There's not a good aftermath that's going to come from it. It was just a good match. Now, as far as the flippy shit conversation, absolutely dumbest fucking part of this tweet, because for some reason, and this is I guess it's just Cornet listeners or something, but they're confusing being like really fast, really like explosive, and having like some high level of agility with doing flippy shit. It's not even close to the same thing. When you watch a Kenny Omega match, he's not doing flippy shit. He's just really fucking fast and hits really hard. He doesn't do flippy shit. The one flippy shit move he kind of has is the you can't escape. The rolling like fireman's drop tumble into the rope with the flip thing. That's his, and it's like a fucking signature move. Other than that, he doesn't do flippy shit. What flippy shit?
The only time I've ever seen him flip in AEW is like if he dove to the outside, which everybody does, and Ospreay definitely does it. So I don't
Ospreay does it
understand.
all the time.
Yeah,
Ospreay does that fucking he kind of does the he occasionally will do the flip on the Oscutter like Jay Lethal does with the lethal injection. He does all kinds of flippy shit off the top. He does flippy shit like doing that when he does the spot where he goes up to the top acting like he's gonna do a moonsault or whatever, but then lands on his feet. Like he does the flippy shit in the Irish whips back and forth, and then he does the little jump and front flip and lands on his goddamn knee like a Power Ranger or whatever the fuck. Like Ospreay is way more flippy shit. If you're gonna have a complaint about flippy shit, your complaints with Ospreay.
Oh,
Omega.
also here's what I don't understand is the fact that, okay, so the age thing where he achieved everything faster than Omega, he was able to do that because Omega achieved those things. If Omega would have been a flop on his fucking face in New Japan because they pushed him, they would have not have pushed Ospreay the same way. It would not have happened.
It did give them a lot of faith in Gaijin and in their ability to draw international audiences. So that's actually a really good point that I had not thought of. That's correct. And as far as like doing everything he's done, obviously the G1 is the obvious thing. But he's never won the Intercontinental title in IWGP, and he never will because it's not coming back unless they split him back up. He's currently the United States champion, but I mean Omega is too. Whatever. I never had the 6-man titles with that Omega had with the Young Bucks multiple times. So yeah, there's a couple things he didn't do. He never had the junior tag titles either, which Omega also had with Ibushi. It's just weird to say that he's done everything because he clearly hasn't. Um, and one of them he's not even going to be able to, and the rest of the shit they're basically tied with.
Well, I don't think he's ever going to be able to get the junior tag titles ever either.
Yeah, he's gonna have to lose some fucking weight. He did have the junior heavyweight title a few times, but like whatever. There's that's the thing though. There's nothing that Ospreay has done that Omega hasn't done, but there is stuff that Omega's done that Ospreay has not done. So
Yeah,
actually,
I mean,
that's not true. There's one thing. Ospreay did win the New Japan Cup.
okay.
So,
Well, Ospreay's never won the AEW World Title.
yeah, there's that, or the Impact World Title, or the AAA Mega titles, or yeah. So but again, you were saying that this guy's talking about just New Japan. But then
Yeah,
if you're
I
gonna
agree.
bring up,
But like, if somebody's going to try to bring up Ring of Honor or Rev
right,
Pro or shit like that, Omega wipes the
yeah,
floor with him.
by far. And then if you're putting, here's the funny thing to me, you're putting this much stock into Dave Meltzer's opinion that your whole argument for Ospreay being better starts on the basis of he has more 5-star matches, so he's clearly like outshining him. If you care that much about Dave Meltzer's opinion, look at the fucking Wrestling Observer newsletter like awards that they do. Now he's got some influence on that. A lot of it's fan voting, but a lot of it's him too. And how many times has he won Pro Wrestler of the Year? How many times has he run? How many times has he won Match of the Year? How many times has he won Feud of
See,
the Year?
that brings in your point about where okay, so Dave can go throw 10 fucking 5-star matches at Will Ospreay throughout the year, but when it comes down to the voting at the end of the year, he's remembering the stories. So
Right.
the really good matches associated with the stories. So if Omega has 5 really good 4.5-star matches with really good stories, and Ospreay has 5-star matches with no fucking stories, Omega's getting the top spot over fucking Ospreay as far as Wrestler of the Year.
Yep. Yep. And Ospreay's never won Wrestler of the Year, for the record.
Like if Punk didn't get hurt, I don't think he'd be in top 5 or anything. But the way that his stories have been built since he came to AEW,
Yeah.
I think he would literally be top 10, like 9, 10 possibly, because he hasn't had great 5-star, 6-star, 7-star matches or anything. They've been solid, but because of the story built up to all of them and him winning on most of them, having the outcome of the victory on most of them, I think he would literally be in the top 10 if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah. I'm still baffled by this flippy shit comment because it's like,
Oh, don't worry. There's something else you can get mad about. We're going to mark that tweet next. So,
okay, but I just feel like that's something that people say when they don't actually watch Kenny Omega matches.
or just
He
don't
does
have an
not-
argument. Like,
he just
there's-
doesn't-
That's a defensive argument that makes no sense.
If you look at his wrestling style, it's just not that. It's
Here's
not
the
that.
thing. I want to point this out because we see this all the time in wrestling Twitter, dude. Hey, Hazy, thanks for the flight team check-in. I appreciate it. Here's the thing that we always see on wrestling Twitter, and it baffles me. You only use the Meltzer ratings when they benefit you. So
Right.
if Omega comes back, Ospreay has no 5-star matches from here to Omega's 2, and Omega takes the lead back. Well,
Nobody's
who cares
gonna
about
say,
Meltzer
yeah.
ratings? No
Right,
one.
exactly.
Why is Meltzer ratings your barometer for fucking how good a wrestler is when you just used it to defend Ospreay being better than Omega?
And a lot of times when you say stuff like that, I will point out, like, oh, it could just be different people. But in this case, I guarantee you that dude would say that. That dude that made that tweet, absolutely, he would say that 100%.
You can kind of tell because of the way that he structured his tweet anyway, that
Yeah.
he's clearly because he's clearly not watching the two. If he thinks Kenny Omega does flippy flapping shit and Ospreay doesn't,
yeah,
then he's
you're
clearly
crazy.
basing his entire opinion on Dave Meltzer's ratings. So if they flip and Omega goes back on top, then he's going to be like, well, who cares about Dave Meltzer's ratings? Why are you all of you are sheep that follow Dave Meltzer's ratings? You can't have an opinion of your own. Well, I mean, you can't because your opinion doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's
Your opinion sounds like
non-factual.
poorly rehashed third-party fucking Jim Cornette tweets. I mean, the idea that Kenny Omega does more flippy shit than Ospreay is just crazy to me, man. I watched the Orange Cassidy Ospreay match live, and I brought somebody there with me who was not familiar with wrestling. And one of the things that she actually said about Ospreay was talking about like how he's like one of the things that she liked about him because this is somebody that's not really used to wrestling was like that he was like very like a gymnastics kind of wrestler in that match. And I was like, Well, he's not doing that so much in this match. He actually does a lot more in their matches. But like, even it was even picked up on then. So to say that he's not flippy shit, let's ignore whatever you want to say about Omega because you're clearly wrong and don't fucking watch him.
Yeah, if he
But
was fighting anybody other than Orange Cassidy, she would have saw a lot more flipping
Yeah.
flapping shit.
Go watch the goddamn Ricochet match. Now, granted, it's been a long time since the Ricochet match, but trying to act like he didn't bite his whole goddamn style almost from Omega to begin with when Omega was a junior, when Omega was doing more flippy shit, then, you know, and I
Do you think they get compared a lot too because he does that same shit that Omega does where he's pointing that shit before he goes and does it? Like, they both do that. And I've never seen someone literally rip somebody else off with that kind of stuff. Like, Omega does the pointing and then charges like goes to the short side of the ropes and then bounces off. Ospreay does that same shit, and I don't see anybody else doing that besides Ospreay and Omega, and clearly Omega did that first.
It is very weird that people are so unaware of how much influence he's drawn from a lot of his mannerisms, is like the way that he moved his moveset from junior to heavy, pretty similar, except Ospreay retained a lot more of the flippy shit. I would say that the only instance of shit that's been more obviously bitten was when the Usos started to wrestle like the Young Bucks. And a lot of people don't like when you say that for whatever fucking reason, but they did. And it might have started off in like a mocking way where they were doing like little super kick parties and shit at house shows, but then it ended up being a lot of the same like tag team flying, whatever the fuck, springboards, like top rope stuff, double team, very similar styles. And if you pretend that they're not, you're goddamn delusional. Go watch an Usos match back when they were still wearing the face
just
paint
watch the
stuff.
last one they had with the Street Profits at SummerSlam. I'm telling you, I got Young Buck vibes too, and I didn't say anything on Twitter because, of course, everybody is about Young Bucks versus Usos, and I actually picked the Usos as our tag team of the year over the Young Bucks either last year or the year before, and you had picked the Young Bucks, I picked the Usos.
Yeah.
There's reasons why they're so close. There's reasons why, like, there's reasons why they were the two that were in the conversation. Like,
go watch any of their, like, go look up what the best tag team match they had was when they were still wearing the face paint and all the like brightly colored shit before they went to the Uso Penitentiary type stuff. You watch those matches and their tag team moves feel very much like rockers, kind of like it doesn't have the same like intensity or like meanness to it like a Young Bucks tag maneuver does. And you can call it flippy shit all day, but there's like a kind of violence to it that you get that you weren't getting with a lot of other tag team maneuvers before. It was like, oh, I'll set him up and I'll hit him or whatever. Even FTR doesn't do this as well as they could, honestly. And I love FTR; they're probably my favorite tag team right now. But even they don't do it. You get it a lot with the Lucha Brothers too. They're obviously not getting it from the Young Bucks. There's a little bit different. But
here's
just, like,
my thing
general
is
feel of the
obviously
tag
like
team
the
stuff.
Usos, when they're the Usos, the reason why they're not completely doing Young Buck stuff is because they don't have anybody to do the Young Buck stuff too.
Right. Exactly.
Because their tag
Yeah.
team division is not as deep, it's not as good overall. So when they're going against a random Viking Raiders team, there's no way they're going to be able to do a goddamn Canadian destroyer on the apron or some shit like that. There's reasons why they can only go so far with it, but you can clearly see the super kicks, the splashes, the dives to the outside. They do everything the Young Bucks do at like the base level, but they don't take that next notch up because one, probably WWE Vince wasn't letting them. And or let them even try, and two, I don't think they really have a lot of dance partners that can even do those things with them. So maybe the Usos can do them, but other things were holding them back. But to say that they don't wrestle the same style as the Young Bucks is fucking asinine.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances in wrestling for some reason where people will compare two teams and say one team is better or whatever, or one wrestler is better than somebody else. But it's so clear that that person has taken so much influence from the person that you're comparing them to and saying that they're better than, that's the reason why you think they're good. So
Yeah, it's weird to me. It's almost like when we had our tag team Mount Rushmore the other week, right? When we talked about stuff, like a lot of my tag teams were similar tag teams. You had the Hardy Boys and the Rock and Roll Express, and you could clearly see the Hardy Boys are like the modern version of the Rock and Roll Express. They just took the Rock and Roll Express and turned it up to level 11 because, you know, evolution, and you get bigger, stronger, faster, can do crazier shit. You try crazier shit because the old stuff doesn't work anymore, doesn't get the big pops like it used to. So you go crazy. Then you hear a good pop and you're like, well, let's fucking build off of that. So the Hardy Boys will always probably be looked at in history as higher than the Rock and Roll Express, but really it's a lot closer than you think if you actually break down and watch something in a vacuum of that era. As someone who grew up with the Rock and Roll Express, they were probably more over than the Hardy Boys were in their time frame, because the Rock and Roll it was like your Ric Flair, your Dusty Rhodes, your Magnum TA, and the Rock and Roll Express. That was it, dude. That was like your list of baby faces that were super fucking over. In the Attitude Era, you had Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, Rock, Austin, Angle. Then you got to the tag teams eventually, and you got to the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge, and Christian. So like there was a bigger list of people that they were getting. So they were getting reactions, but it might have been just because of the era that they were in at the time and what they were doing compared to what the Rock and Roll Express was doing at the time. Also, you can't discredit the fact that the Rock and Roll Express had the Midnight Express, where the Usos have the New Day, right? So like, yeah, the New Day are great. They really are. But their style isn't like the Young Bucks to the Lucha Bros, is what I'm saying. Because like if you're watching a Usos match and you're saying that they are leagues above Young Bucks, then you're clearly not watching the Young Bucks, or you're just watching clips out of context, because it doesn't make any sense. I can't stand people that say the Young Bucks can't tell a story. You are incorrect.
Crazy to me.
That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life.
Matt Jackson's been selling us back for 6 fucking years, bro. Like, what do you mean he tells a story? He's been telling the longest story in wrestling history with his injured back every goddamn match. No, like people will say all the time, like, oh, they're not good at psychology or whatever. They're constantly working parts. They're constantly getting parts worked on. They're always like building up to whatever hot tag or whatever when they're baby faces. They're always doing the bullshit heel tactics to keep somebody from tagging when they're like. If you go watch that the triple threat match where they lost the titles and tell me they don't understand psychology, you're out of your goddamn mind, dude. You're so delusional.
All right, let's move on to Mark That Tweet, because we're about to go off on somebody else. So let's fuck.
Oh man,
let's fuck on. Here we go.
Mark That Tweet. Anger.
Here you go. This is from Robert Shrub. More like Robert Scrub. This is what he said. Swerve and Lee are placeholder tag champs. The belief that Khan, which is obviously their name for Tony Khan, the Khan artist, is fucking so stupid. It's so stupid. That Tony Khan was racist, was growing. So he threw these two together and put the belts on them to deflect. Now, keep in mind, I want to throw this out there before you get started on you're tearing these idiots apart. Or this idiot, I should say. Tony Khan being racist is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Okay, we've already been over that on the show before. But let's go ahead and put into context who's been champions already. And even if you just want to single out the African Americans, we can do that. That's fine. Jade Cargill is 36-0. All right, she was probably like 33-0, 34-0 when Swerve and Lee won these titles. Scorpio Sky had already been first ever tag team champion and TNT champion a couple times, right? Wasn't he a couple time TNT champion?
Yeah, I think he went twice.
So I'm failing to see why Tony Khan needed to throw titles on two African Americans, because the perception was growing that he was racist, even though he's not white either.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, do people not know who Tony Khan even is?
I mean, you can make the argument, I guess, that it's obviously not true, but you would be able to make the argument like, oh, just because he's...
Well, I'm not saying he isn't capable of being racist, right?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But, like, the likelihood is far lower than Vince McMahon.
Let's say he was, for whatever reason. Have you looked at the demographic makeup of the Jacksonville Jaguars lately, by chance? This is like an all-white team. I don't remember. I haven't paid that close attention, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah, I would say no.
Yeah, probably not. If they are, they're going 0-16.
They might still go 0-16. They're not a great team. No.
Yeah, no. No, this whole thing has never made any sense. So I want to make so many fucking jokes right now because the guy's name is Robert Shrub, and I'm just like, I can't believe you would make this joke or make this comment. It's such a Bush League comment. I got so much, but I'm gonna refrain. Okay, I'm gonna plant my feet
more like
on this.
You got dad jokes, is what you're saying.
Not make jokes. Yeah. I'm gonna focus. All right. First of all, there's no such thing really as placeholder champs that aren't interim champs. There wasn't any major injury. There wasn't any real reason that the titles had to change at all. You could argue that they wanted to get the titles off them to put the Young Bucks into the Trios tournament, but they could have done the whole Trios tournament as tag team champions too, because they're probably not going to win the fucking Trios tournament. They're not
I
going to.
agree. Also, we're going to talk more about that next week, but the Trios tournament, I mean. But don't you think that if you let's say you took the Young Bucks out of it for the Trios tournament,
Sure.
if he was racist when he put another white tag team in that triple threat match and had the other white team win instead of Hobbs and Starks, if he was truly racist,
No.
would you not just put it back on Jurassic Express?
He's trying to start a civil war in the black community.
Yeah, I'm just saying it makes no sense. Like, you had the other two teams were black. Like, it makes no sense. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, no, okay. So his argument here, though, is, and again, it's a very fucking stupid argument, but I will try to steelman it as much as I can. His argument is that the whole reason that Tony Khan booked it this way was to deflect from his racism. So it wouldn't. I mean, what your argument is here doesn't really work because he's still secretly racist. That's the whole point, right? I would say that the bigger problem here is that it doesn't make any fucking sense because he's already had plenty of African American champions. He's himself a minority. He's never really given off any indication to anybody that's ever worked with him backstage, aside from Big Swole getting some ideas from the way that she was booked, which again, and we try to be really fucking nice about people's abilities and stuff on the show. There was a time in AEW where Big Swole was interesting and where she was doing some stuff where it's like, okay, like she might like have a path up here, and then it just kind of got stagnant. And then if you look at her indie work since, Tony Khan was kind of right. She's not really that. She's not somebody I would put at the top of the division. She's not somebody I would be giving a big push based on the work that she's done outside, right? Am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong.
So
I don't think you're wrong.
Right. So if that's the one argument that you have about somebody, having a complaint about Tony Khan being racist in his booking or whatever the fuck, it doesn't make sense in line with all the other booking already. Trying to act like this would be
let's be real. AEW was not created so that the person from last week's Mark That Tweet, everybody can get pushed at the same time. Like, not everybody's going to get a turn with the title just because you're at AEW. That's not how this works. So, like, no, you're not wrong about the Big Swole situation.
Yeah. Also, okay. So we didn't even talk that much about. I mean, we talked about like Scorpio Sky.
Well, my
stuff
thing
like
is his placeholder thing isn't even right? So, like you said, it's only a placeholder if it's an interim title. But even if he meant paper champion, that's also not correct, because look at how they are fucking booking them ever since they won the title. They are a big fucking deal.
Right.
They come off with so much fucking confidence and swagger and whatever that, like, I don't feel like anybody's taking it off of them anytime soon, the way that they're being booked right now.
Yeah. Not only that, but also it was clear what he was doing was he was building toward, let's have the Young Bucks go off and they've got to lose a belt. Let's put them in the trios titles. They didn't necessarily have to do that, but it does kind of make more sense because they're going to be occupied for a little bit. He was building towards the Hobbs and Stark split part of the story, so it made sense to do it that way. Like, no part of this screams like, oh, I'm just getting so much flack from these 12 dudes on Twitter about how I hate African American wrestlers that I have to put the belts on somebody. Do these people, do you think they remember that Nyla Rose is Native American and African American? So, and she was the first women's champion?
Second.
Or the second, second women's champion? These people are fucking delusional.
I also don't like the people I feel like the people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, they're already excluding, like, Japanese people from being people of color, which is very annoying.
It's true, but again, if the argument is just that he hates black people, then that's where that would come from. So they wouldn't have to justify that in any way. Being racist doesn't mean broadly racist against every race that's not yours. It could be against a specific demographic.
Yeah,
that being said,
I mean, I understand that point of view, but I feel like we're giving Robert Shrub here a little bit too much credit in that regard. That he's literally.
He doesn't seem like a very nuanced thinker. No.
No. Doesn't feel like a very deep thinker at all.
No. It's about a shrub height. So I think that it's a very okay. Let's put it this way. He threw these two together. First of all, You You
I
want
love
to talk
that he's
about
giving Tony Khan credit for throwing them together, but their first tag team match together was
that? Yeah.
way
A
before
while,
AEW existed.
just a while ago. Threw these two together. You know, he went in a time machine, went back to went all the way back, put them together back when he was still just a fan. You know, how yeah,
But
okay.
how is Robert Shrub supposed to be expected to go back and learn anything about Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland's career,
Oh,
dude?
I was hoping that the one this week was gonna be the one of that fucking the fat dude talking about like how AEW expects fans to have to go do homework to understand the product. Did you see that shit?
No, I haven't seen that one. I probably
Oh
would have
my
used it.
fucking god, bro! No homework necessary. Okay, you don't have to watch everything to get everything. Also, I did look it up. Swerve in Our Glory. Their debut as a tag team was in 2017. Where they also eventually
Can you
wrestled
tell
for the
me what year
AAW tag.
AEW started?
Oh, I don't think it was 2017.
I'm going to say it was 2019.
I want to say it was 2019 as well.
Like
Yeah,
later on, 2019. Like,
yeah.
didn't they like do a debut show in like October or some shit like
October.
that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting.
Just throw them together, bro. They don't even know each other. They've never been tag teams at all. Yeah, it would be like if you brought in Shane Taylor and he put Keith Lee with him. It's like, why are you just throwing them two together? Because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's why. You're talking about two people with history. It's like, you know what? I bet he didn't say the same fucking thing about when Adam Cole came in and joined the Elite.
I bet he didn't say the same thing about NXT when fucking Champion Gargano came in.
Yeah, exactly. Or, yeah, or, it's just, it's very, okay. Okay. Do you think he said the same thing about Hangman Page and Kenny Omega? Like,
I doubt it.
we're just throwing them
He
together,
might
bro.
have. I don't know. I mean, he's quite dumb, so
Fucking
maybe.
stupid. Yeah. Okay.
So you want to hit him with the shit? Let's hit him with the shit.
Yeah, okay, well, let's recap. First of all, not placeholder tag champs. They're clearly being pushed very well, have a story. There were multiple reasons to make them champions at the time. There's no indication whatsoever that Tony Khan is racist. And you can look at the history of champions in his company or the way that other people of color have been booked throughout a whole fucking company's history as very high on the card, including some of the very first champions that they had or second champions that they had for each division. You have current champions aside from Swerve and Our Glory, who are also African American, also champions, and recent ones who just recently lost it. And on top of that, throwing those two together didn't ever fucking happen. They were tag team 2 years before AEW even started. They're not thrown together, and he did not put the belts on them to deflect. He put the belts on them to advance multiple storylines because it made the most sense and because they're fucking over. Shut the fuck up.
Can I say something else? The one team that Tony Khan did throw together was the Acclaimed, and they've been pushed very steadily ever since. And even though they haven't won any titles, they would not be fucking anywhere on the wrestling map right now if they went to NXT as separate entities or if Khan kept them separate. Like, they just worked together very well. Everybody loves the Acclaimed, so why don't we give Tony Khan some fucking credit instead of fucking acting like he did something that he literally could not have done because it was already done before AEW existed. So I gotta tell you, Robert.
You don't know shit! Your opinions suck! You fucking mark!
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. No. We have to mark that tweet. It's now in the history books. You are an idiot. Sorry. And I hope that Swerve and Lee stay champions for a long time, because I said it on the show a few weeks ago that I think they could have a long run with it. And not only that, I think they're going to put on fucking matches that are going to be like in contention for the best tag team match of the year on a consistent basis.
Dude, their chemistry is so good. Like, every time Swerve does any kind of jump off of Lee, dude, I pop. I don't know why. It's such a simple spot. I've seen Seth Rollins do it off a Fat Fan at a fucking indie show, but for some reason, every time Swerve does it, dude, it's like, oh, that's so fun.
I always feel like Swerve is about to break his fucking ankles. He might not. He might want to stop doing that. He might want to like go to something else. Honestly, it's only going to take that one time, and it's going to be over for him. You're going to be borrowing CM Punk's boot, is what's going to happen.
Keith Lee got a little bit of sweaty taco meat right here, and just fuck up your whole day. But for now, still cool.
All right, guys, that's the show for this week. Thanks for everybody that swung by. to check it out. We will be back next week, obviously. This was episode 22. We'll be back next week with episode 23. Can't wait. We are going to be doing some AEW predictions soon as well. That'll be in a couple weeks, I believe. We still got a couple weeks for that. It'll be it'll be a double show weekend, so that'll be fun. That will be.
Are they doing that show on a Saturday?
I'll be doing a show on Saturday. I won't be doing the show. I'll be doing a prediction show on Saturday. The 3rd, Saturday the 3rd, will be a prediction show for AEW's All Out. Then the 4th, we'll be having our regular show, and we'll be talking about All Out probably most of that show because it's lining up to be another really good fucking pay-per-view, dude. It's fucking nuts how AEW just... It's crazy what you can do when you have 3 and 4 months in between pay-per-views instead of having one every goddamn 2 weeks.
Hold on a sec. The show is on the 4th. They're doing a Sunday show, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, you're right. We won't be able to talk about the show until
the
following
we won't be
week.
talking next week. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be doing... well, I guess if that's the case, I could do the prediction show...
Sunday morning. A little early,
yeah, but no, I'd have to cut it. Nah, fuck it. I'll do it Saturday. I'll do it Saturday so I can have it uploaded. Okay, so yeah, we'll still do it the same way, but we won't be able to talk about it until a week from now. But it's all good. It's all good because it gives me time to digest it, and I like to watch the AEW pay-per-views twice anyway, so it works out. All right, so hopefully everybody has a great rest of your weekend and enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week right here on the MonsterCast. Deuces.